Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Getting Over podcast. That's right, our wrestling podcast is coming your way with this premium live event. Never going to get used to saying that one. It's Wrestlepalooza. If I'm not going to get used to saying premium live event, Wrestlepalooza... Well, we are bringing you all the matches, all the news, the who won last time, all the wrestling goodies you could possibly want in one podcast. I was going to say something else, but I won't. Before we get started, please do consider like, share, subscribe, and comment. Leave your reviews where you want to leave your reviews, where you can leave your reviews. There's a place to leave reviews, let's face it. And share that podcast around. If you are listening to this right now, if you are watching this right now, chances are you're a fan of the wrestling. Maybe you know somebody else who's a fan of the wrestling and you're like, maybe they'll like that podcast I'll listen to / watch. Send this their way. They'll be like, you're right, I loved it. Right, here we go. This is CookieCast. Getting over.
Hello, welcome along. It is that time once again. Welcome to Getting Over here on CookieCast. If you're new here, welcome on in. If you've just discovered us, you have discovered the home of all things WWE on CookieCast. You'll know that if you're a returning listener. And nice to see you again. Thank you very much. If you're a recent subscriber, however, then, clearly we'll come and cut your grass or wash your dishes or something, because we absolutely love you guys. So thanks very much. If you've not pressed subscribe, do it now. Unfortunately, that offer is no longer valid, but what we can promise you is, good podcasts straight to your inbox.
That reminds me, actually, I may have promised the dear listeners and or watchers something that may have incriminated you in the promise. So, everybody stay till the end to find out what I've promised Stu's going to do if you lovely people do something else.
I would make a joke about being on a promise here, but I'll leave that alone. We're early doors. Anyway, if you are new around here, let me introduce you to the team. So on this episode, you have myself, Stuart Woodmansey. You have Mr. Paul Williams, who is currently doing all kinds of things on the YouTube to clear his face. And we have the creator of this very channel on which you are listening to this very podcast, Mr. Andrew Cook. How are we all?
I'm starting to feel like the best format for me to unveil a crown would be this podcast. I feel like it's time now to unveil some sort of crown.
We have like a second where we all the creator on the
just like the logo in the center with many jewels, lots of sort of like the what are they called? Fleur de lis or whatever. Coming all the way around, all in gold, just gems of many descriptions, and the CookieCast logo.
It sounds to me like you're talking about the crown jewel crowns.
I think it's more likely that we're now discovering that Andy's thought about this long before this podcast record button was pressed.
Weeks, months, years would be the answer there.
Oh, right. Okay. So we are here to get, firstly, stuck into the results from Clash in Paris, a little bit of news, and then we've got some more predictions, as always. So this time around, the predictions are for a new to us premium live event by the name of Wrestlepalooza. But we'll get to that a little later on. Right now, we'll get stuck into the predictions title and see where that went following the predictions from Clash in Paris. So, Matt, Mr. Matthew Moore, the absentee for the episode, the podcast's very own version of John Cena once again. Can't see him, but he took the title last time out. Can the reign continue? Well, at the time of recording of the last episode, we only had 4 matches on the card. Even though the event ended up having 6 matches, the ones that were added were Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella and a tag team title match, which was the Wyatt 6 versus the Street Profits. So those two both went unpredicted. So from a maximum of 4 points remaining, 3 of us did pretty well. Paul didn't. Paul got 2 points. Paul got 2 points for Cena and Rollins winning. After Paul, both Andy and myself scored 3 points, as we also had Rusev to beat Sheamus on top of Paul's correct choices. So the only question then, did Matt also get 3 points as reigning champion, or did he clean sweep it? When you listen to this, Mr. Moore, get that brush out. Clean sweep time. Matt got all 4 of the predictions from last episode correct. He also had Roman Reigns to beat Bronson Reed. Now, that was a bit of a surprise for me, that one, because I was convinced they were going to give that guy the win and let him go with it. But, as we all know now, it turns out that Bronson didn't win the match, but did get the massive beatdown on Roman Reigns with his compadres afterwards. So it still gets the rub if you like, but yeah, that was the result that let really the rest of us down, and Matt got it bang on. So well done, Matthew. Wherever you may be right now, well done. Next time he'll be here hopefully to defend his title in person. However, again, we'll get to the predictions a little later on. So, news time. Not really a lot's happened. It feels like it's not really been that long since we were here. So there's been a few little bits and bobs, but probably the biggest part is that, WrestleMania 43, the location has been announced. Now, some of you might be thinking, but we haven't had WrestleMania 42 yet. This feels early. This is early. But the location has been announced as Saudi Arabia. Not long after the video from the press conference was aired on YouTube, it became apparent that many people weren't happy. If you've used YouTube before, you may even be watching us on YouTube right now, you'll notice that there is a thumbs up and thumbs down option on most videos. Press the thumbs up one at this point, if you would. Cheers, everyone. You may well want to, after you've listened to this, go and check out what they're currently up to. But at the not long after the video was released, almost 2/3 of the people who decided to push one of those buttons were thumbs down compared to thumbs up. There's a whole host of ramifications that come from this. I'm sure we'll get into a few now. The most obvious one for me is the women wrestlers. They'll be there. If this had happened, 6 or 7 years ago, maybe not. But they will have to have some sort of special attention to the gear because obviously they're covered from wrist to ankle, as it were. So that's going to be probably a bit of a bind for them, I imagine, in the sense of it's going to be baking hot and they're going to be in full kit. As somebody who has attended events in the past around that weekend, it's annoyed a lot of people outside of WWE that are still in the business because they will base their entire weekend around WrestleMania, whether that's a nearby TNA event or whether that's WrestleCon is probably the biggest one where it's everybody, all the guys or the guys who are out of contract go and pick up a nice little pay packet for kissing a few babies and shaking a few hands and signing a few autographs, that kind of a deal. That weekend will probably, when it's in the States, make or break, particularly the legends who are maybe a bit short of cash these days. That'll probably make or break their entire year. Now, unless they're affiliated with WWE, that's going to rip out a huge pay packet from their year. Where do you guys sit with it?
I couldn't be less of a fan of the whole thing. Like you say, the women is one of the first parts of it that comes to mind. You're like, but there's that as an aspect. The fact that full well the single, and when I say single, I do obviously mean 250 million reasons that this would happen. And personally, in all walks of everything, I am so tired of corporate greed. It's unbelievable. And this is just the highest example of this sort of thing. It's not we care about our fans. It's not we care about our employees. It's not we care about people affiliated. It's not we care about anyone. It's just $250 and a lot of other zeros. And yeah, that's what we care about. And yes, we all love a bit of money. I'm not like, ooh, down with the money. But there's a point it crosses over to what you're saying is you don't care about anything other than the money. And anytime it's at the expense of fans, employees, and anything like that, it's gone too far. So that's my kind of word.
I'd be interested to know how many of the current roster are actually pleased about it. Because did you see any of the press conference? So there was like Seth Rollins was there, Bianca Belair was there, like Liv Morgan, obviously she's out injured at the moment, but she was there, and like quite a few others who were basically just stood whilst Triple H was delivering his speech. Not one of them looked happy about any of it. And that's from the get-go.
Well, it's like we said in the group chat about it. Like, surely for them, the main thing that's probably going through their head is, well, the whole point of WrestleMania is the fact that you've got people that come from around the world, literally. And like obviously, like you've got people that come from, Australia, the UK, France, Germany. I could go on and stuff like that. Literally from around the world. That's not going to happen. So you're only going to get people that are from Saudi or, dare I say, green shirt guy, who will be definitely be in the front row because why wouldn't he be? And the only other people that are going to go are going to be people that WWE determined should be there, if that makes sense. So you're not gonna have the same flavour of like true fan as you would for WrestleMania and stuff like that. So that's going to take a massive part of the spectacle out of it. So they're not going to be. It's not like they're going to be performing in front of the usual hardcore set of fans and stuff like that. I know that the shows have got a bit better in Saudi since they've started because it does seem to be more people who actually know what's going on that now go and view it. But it's not going to be the same. No matter what anyone tells you, it's not going to be the same.
My other oh, sorry, go on, Paul.
Well, sorry, I was going to say. Well, I'll tell you what. You go with the conservative, because then I'll say what I've got.
My other concern, aside from all like the fan events and stuff, are probably going to be watered down. Some of them might be happy because they won't have to sign as many autographs and stuff over the weekend. But every year it comes around, and there's the Hall of Fame. Depending on who goes into the Hall of Fame, some of those old timers aren't going to want to make a trip to Saudi. And like, how gutted would you be if like it was finally your time, and then your family couldn't be there because like it's halfway around the world? Like, if it was in Europe, I don't think it'd be as much of an issue, if I'm honest, because that might be a bit of a draw for some. But it still would put some of the older guys who are in ill health and stuff. It might put them off even if it was. But I can honestly see him watering it down in the sense of Hall of Fame will probably end up being part of SmackDown, possibly even the week before.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, I suppose it gives them the option to potentially have that as the sort of the US presence for the weekend and sort of do it there. But then you're not going to have any of the actual wrestlers there. It's just going to be the people going into the Hall of Fame, the inductees, and then the inductors, sorry, and then the fans. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. The one thing I was going to say was that what it does create though is the potential that you've got, like you say, WrestleCon, independent shows would go and put on events there. It does give one of those sort of like an AEW, for example, the opportunity to pick a city, put on an event on either the Friday night or the following Monday or something like that, and say, right, the time difference is going to basically mean that we're going to be able to do this, at a perfect time, because it's going to be early in the afternoon that they're going to be watching it, back in the States, unless they sort of piss around with the time and stuff like that, which, let's be honest, they'll be able to do because it's Saudi. And they can just sort of corner that part of the market and get the US fans that aren't going to be travelling to Saudi. So it opens up the opportunity for that to sort of take place, which I suppose is something. Whether it'll take off or not, I don't know.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it in that way, actually. As much as it's, as Andy said, putting the zeros on the end of the bank statement, it's potentially then opening up a little bit of a window of opportunity for the competition. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way. Right, okay, so we do have a little bit more news to come. A couple of items, in fact, before we do get into the predictions for this episode. But time has caught up to us a little bit on the recording session. So if we will go and recharge our glasses, you guys don't need to go anywhere. We'll be right back at you in a moment of nanoseconds. Stay right there. See, just like that. Told you, we have returned. And much like we've returned, the next piece of news is about AJ Lee returning. So on the 5th of September, hell froze over in Chicago, Illinois. The return of AJ Lee finally happened after 10 long years. Now, we'll go into the whys and wherefores when it comes to the predictions section. But what do we think to this return? Are we pleased to see her back? Do we think she'll end up being on a similar deal to Punk? More or less dates, maybe? And who from the current roster are we wanting to see her wrestle? I have a thought on this, but I'll let you guys go first.
10 years is a fair amount of time.
Considering she's not wrestled anywhere else in between times either.
I think that's the other thing. Is we all know what it's like to return to something and have to knock the rust off, but there's going to have to be a blowtorch and a sledgehammer involved there. If you've not done any wrestling to knock the rust off for 10 years, also looking at it from an athletic perspective, the chance of injury's got to be way up there.
Well, that was going to be my next point. What I didn't realise that they'd obviously covered as part of the thing was that I just thought she retired because of the whole situation. But unless they're just making it out as some sort of storyline, she's got some sort of issues with her neck.
Yeah, that was referred to in the promos in over the last couple of weeks. With regards to a high chance of injury for Randy, I'm assuming you meant for her and not just for the fact that one night she might roll over in bed and CM Punk will pull another bicep. I take your point on that. I think that it'll be interesting to see. She mentioned about in the promo this past week on Raw about how even she doesn't know what's going to happen. But you're not telling me that there's not been an intensive training session. She's not in terrible nick by any stretch. I would suggest that this weekend will not be the first bumps she's taken in 10 years. Cannot be.
Well, there's been videos of her working out with Punk in whatever gym / ring that was set up however many months, years, weeks, however long ago it was. And obviously that was maybe sort of December, January time, and that's what sparked loads of rumors. Oh God, she'll be back for the Rumble. She'll be back for the Rumble and stuff like that. Have they said how long the contract is that she's signed?
No, they were quick to put out a video of her signing a contract with Triple H, but not they haven't, as far as I'm aware, released any details of it. My sort of thoughts around it would be that, like, why would she be coming back full time? I know Punk is almost full time, isn't he? He's not. He's obviously completed the full European tour recently, but he's not a guarantee week in, week out on Raw unless he's
to all intents and purposes full time, isn't he? Let's be honest.
But he
He's 90% of the time.
Yeah, but he seems to have the ability to pull a week off if he needs it, which is a bit more of a benefit than some have.
To be honest, I think I would imagine that's kind of how the majority of them are these days. With the fact that they do fewer house shows, not doing loan, like none, but they had certainly do. Like the schedule is a lot lighter than it ever was. Obviously, not during COVID as that, but it's a light been for a number of years. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of them do just say, "Oh, like listen, like my back's a little bit fucked up. Like, you know, is it possible? Like, you know, I don't really have much going with like the storyline at the moment. Can I just take like, you know, a couple of weeks off just to rest it up? You know, maybe take a few less bumps and stuff like that." So I wouldn't be surprised if most of them work to a schedule where it's flexible for the majority of the time.
I mean, my sort of thought on it would be, I can't see that she will be full time. Does she like? Is she here for another title run? At best,
I'd be surprised.
Maybe.
I'd be surprised if she doesn't have a title at some point. At this point, I don't think she'd be the favourite to win the ring, but she'll be probably one of the ones that they're looking at to sort of go deep. She'll definitely be in the final four.
It depends who the champion is by the time that rolls around, because if we're in a situation where we've got Seth and Becky reigning as both world champions,
true.
We could end up having Punk and AJ versus Seth and Becky at WrestleMania for all of the beans, as it were. But yeah, in terms of like when I said who from the current roster would we like to see her wrestle, purely because they've been dropping this photograph everywhere as well, surely at some point there's got to be an AJ Lee Roxanne Perez match. Them two, similar stature, similar style as well, I think would work really, really well. And I don't know how they're going to get to like AJ getting involved in like the Judgment Day business. But I want, if she's going to come back and she's going to be a presence herself, I want her to be just that. I don't want her to spend her what will be her last WWE run as Punk's little tag along. Like, she needs to be her own character within it for me.
I think she probably will be. I think she's a strong enough character. She's strong enough in the ring. Well, I say all this, obviously we don't know because she hasn't wrestled for 10 years, but she was, if she's come back at the same level that she left 10 years ago, she was strong enough in the ring to be able to carry whatever program they decided to put her in. And she's already proved, like with a sort of promo that she did on the Monday night after she came back on the Friday, that she's still got, you know, chops on the mic. So she's definitely able to carry the talking side of a feud, shall we say. So I'd be surprised if she doesn't have at least a couple of decent ones.
I was talking about this with a friend the other day, and they were like, "But she's not like aged a day." No, but she's also not spent the last 10 years getting thrown around and smashed into a mat for a living. So there's that.
It's amazing what not getting dropped on your bonds for 10 years can do to a
body. But yeah, I'm quite happy she's back. She's an interesting character, freshens up the whole CM Punk Seth situation a little as well. So I fear that will probably rumble on for quite some time to come. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But predictions wise, obviously, and match wise, we'll get to that just a little later on. Obviously, we cannot talk about a return seemingly on this podcast without talking about an exit at the same time. So the third and final piece I've got for the news for this episode is none other than Mr. ex-husband of Charlotte Flair, Andrade. It's been revealed that last weekend, WWE silently cut ties with Andrade, and the move is quoted as being on the company's volition and not related to budget moves. Also been revealed that Andrade had at least one wellness policy violation on his latest WWE run, but it's not really known if this was in violation for failing a test, or what can also count as a fail is failing to produce a test. Whilst this may not have been the direct release, like the direct reason for his release, he was suspended without pay as a result. Reports have suggested that Andrade was escorted from the building during a recent SmackDown taping, which was related to the wellness policy violation, and he hasn't been seen at SmackDown since. Now, that's despite WWE's best efforts to actually get hold of him. This has obviously severely affected the creative that they had planned, particularly for the tag team picture. It recently formed a tag team with Rey Fenix, and the pair were allegedly slated to win the tag team titles at Clash in Paris. Obviously, plans had to be changed, even though both of those men featured heavily on the posters for the event in and around the city of Paris as well. Bit of a strange one, this. Now, if I was to say to you guys off the top of your head, how long has Andrade been back? How long would you say? 6 months?
Well,
8 months?
Well, no, because he came back at the Royal Rumble 2024.
Yep. So
he's been there for 21 months.
Quick maths, Paul. Quick maths. Yeah, but in that time, until this tag team started, how often had we seen him?
Excuse me, you're talking about a former WWE Speed champion there, Stuart. Yeah, you're right. He was never on
I saw something
Is that why
about
he
that.
failed the?
Not that Speed champion.
I left it as long as I could, but I was like, I can't leave it. It's meat on the bone. It's money on the table. I've got to pick it up. I was like,
well, I'm struggling. I've seen something like not long before we came. Here we go. So the inaugural Speed champion, whilst we're on that, was Ricochet. What's happened to him since?
spending a lot of time in Ireland.
Andrade has won the Speed championship and ended up leaving WWE shortly after he's dropped the belt. Dragon Lee has now won the Speed championship. His deal expires in 3 months.
So basically, what you're saying is, if they come to you and say, "We'd like to put a belt on you," and they say it's the Speed Championship, just get out of that meeting as quickly as you possibly can.
It's almost worse than the women's tag team titles for a curse, because at least they've still got a job, or usually by the time the injury's healed. Whereas this is a straight up, no, that's it, you're off. In many ways, it's almost a bit of a relief that nothing's come out that it's anything to do with Charlotte Flair, because that could have painted her in a bit of a strange light. And obviously, she's just kind of weirdly getting going as a babyface with Alexa at the moment in their tag team run.
But do we not feel that there's like anything like that feels a little bit like you're looking at one side of the fence going, I mean, we're not using this person right now, and you look at the other side of the fence and you go, I mean, talk about legacy.
Mm-hmm.
I just it's just an immediate sort of thing that goes through my head, whether it's that or not. It's not going to stop me thinking. I imagine from a company perspective, they would rather anything didn't boil over in any way. So maybe it's just for an added bonus, shall we say?
If you like piece the timeline together of the bits that have been released, it feels to me like I think it's more like, and this is pure speculation. Obviously, you don't know anything. This is just what my take is. I think it's more likely that he's not produced the test. They've asked him for it at SmackDown, and he wouldn't. Clearly, hasn't had enough to drink in catering. And then decided that was it. They're going to have to ask him to leave, and then he's taken the huff with it and just not answered calls or anything for like the following 3 weeks after that, and they've gone, do you know what? You're not that as important as you think you are. Off you go, sunshine, and almost sort of used him as a bit of an example.
Yeah, quite possibly.
But also as well, in this day and age when everything's kind of readily available through the internet, and particularly with the sort of I can't really think of it, like almost like the gravitas around the wellness policy as it has been for such a long time now. When was the last time you actually heard of anybody getting suspended on the wellness policy that's not named Matt Riddle?
The wellness policy thing for me is just one of those. I'm like, what are we doing here?
It's definitely got its caveats.
What are we really doing? We're rolling out these giant human beings week in, week out, going, they passed the wellness policy. Yeah.
Hey, in their defence, I will say it is not the late 80s, early 90s anymore, so it could be worse.
It's not the late 80s, early 90s. They're a lot more sophisticated now.
But yeah.
So don't know what you're talking about, fellas.
What? What are you saying?
Don't know what you're talking about. What? Not a clue.
But yeah, so Andrade, despite the fact that he was probably on, or about to be on the best part.
He was definitely on something. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, well, he was about to be on the best run since his return at the Royal Rumble in 2024, as Paul rightly pointed out. But now is not to be. So Andrade is gone. What is still to come, though, is the predictions. So this weekend we have, like I said earlier, a new to us name, I guess, for a WWE Premium Live event. So WWE Wrestlepalooza. It's been presented as a WWE event for the first time, but it will actually be the 5th Wrestlepalooza to take place.
So I was going to say, I saw mention of like 1997 attached to Wrestlepalooza, 1998 sort of area. I was like, it's not a new name, but it's definitely not one that they've been using recently. And by recently, I mean in the last decade.
I can tell you exactly. So the event name is a former ECW event name, and the last time a Wrestlepalooza took place was 25 years ago.
I saw 98, and I was like, I mean, yeah. So
yeah.
Wow.
This one takes place this coming Saturday at the Gamebridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, at the time of recording, we are back up to a standard Triple H 5 matches. But as always, the match card information is taken from WWE.com and is correct at the time of recording. But the card is always subject to change. So without further ado, we'll get stuck into Wrestlepalooza. There you go, Paul. Right, so first one.
I was going to say we're all in agreement. Terrible name, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
It's awful. It's awful.
It's horrendous. Just absolutely awful. It's like it's the equivalent of on the Simpsons when they say, we need it to be Love Day, but not quite so corny, and then just skips to Happy Love Day.
I have to give a little doff of the cap at the point of me using that pun to Mr. Wade Barrett for inspiring such a dad joke on the basis of as soon as that name got announced and they started promoting it, he kept using the phrase on commentary, "Oh well, no one wants to be a loser at Wrestlepalooza."
God.
It's been tickling me ever since. So know your market and all. Right, the first match. We'll move along. the Usos versus The Vision. So Jimmy and Jay reunited as a tag team against Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. It's absolutely no secret that the Usos are one of the greatest tag teams of the modern era. It's also no secret that they haven't exactly seen eye to eye all the time in recent years. So what has changed? The Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed have been causing chaos across the roster and most recently injured Roman Reigns. Andy, you'll be pleased to know that this is the injury is just long enough so that it allows him to complete his Street Fighter movie commitments.
Wow,
Can you
that
believe
is.
it?
Whoa, hang on a
Can
second.
you imagine that as a coincidence that was just the exact amount of time needed?
Unbelievable, isn't it?
I cannot
Hang on,
believe it.
oh, sorry, did I miss something? Are we not? Does this mean we're not expecting the Roman Reigns autobiography to drop sometime within the next 9
He's
months?
probably he must have an album coming out almost immediately.
Well, I'm wondering if the injury will last long enough for him to do the promotional tour for it as well, but we'll see. But yeah, the former Bloodline members have reunited, and I guess they're trying to avenge the damage caused to the tribal chief. But who is going to leave Indianapolis as the victors? Will it be the Twins or will it be the Vision? Now, we have no predictions on deck from our current predictions champion. In fairness, it was a late call. I understand why. If I get some before the event starts, then I will add them to the book. But in the meantime, if I don't, then it's just a free-for-all.
Then the rest of us have a chance to win. Fantastic.
New champion next episode.
So basically, what you're saying is it's currently, we might as well look at it as if the title is vacant.
Yeah.
The title has been vacated. I will be eliminated by the tiebreaker that the three of us will have to. I look forward to seeing Sarah next podcast so that she can deliver the tiebreaker that I will ultimately lose.
Well, no, I was thinking it was going to be that, like, it'd be that Sarah like hits one of us with the steel chair to inadvertently give Stu
for the title.
So, yeah.
I think it'll be a complete heel turn because Matt will be back. So we'll ask him to do the question and he'll make it incredibly hard. Anyway, so I'll go straight in. I've gone for the Vision. Bronson didn't get the win over Roman Reigns. For me, I can't see anything other than Jimmy Uso absolutely eating one here. And Jey Uso's not exactly been on an upturn of late, has he, since he lost the World Heavyweight Championship? So the Vision for me, every day of the week, but particularly this coming Saturday. Andy is nodding.
I like your vision, Stu. I see where you're coming from, and I too enjoy Marvel superheroes as much as the next man. So I would also like the Vision. Okay. I think the whole thing's just set up very much like the Jay and Jimmy thing is very much like they're not quite seeing eye to eye. They're not really on the same page. It writes itself, doesn't it? Let's face it.
We've had a little bit of interference as well in the build-up from LA Knight.
Yeah, the LA Knight thing. Yeah,
in the sense that he keeps coming in and dropping Jay with BFTs.
I nearly threw in a disqualification Paul Williams special for this one with LA Knight's name attached, but I thought I'd just go straight.
I'm wondering if we see LA Knight end up turning to freshen him up a little bit. Will he be a new member?
Will the crowd go for that though? He's still pretty over. I don't think.
Yeah.
If anyone was going to turn, I think you'd probably get more. You'd probably get more like run out of a J turn. To be honest with you,
I'd also take that as well.
Because then obviously, like, I know it's like it kind of. I don't think it makes any sense because obviously you've got him massively up with the crowd, and then you can sort of like turn the yeet like on its head and stuff, but.
They've already done no yeet, though, haven't they? With
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they've already had that, and it's not really worked. So I don't know. This was a bit of a 50-50 for me. I can see the merits of sort of both sides of the ring. Not to foreshadow a pick that we'll make later on in the night, but obviously they're not the only members of the Vision in action this evening, shall we say? And somehow I think we may already know what's happening with that particular match. So, would they have a clean sweep of losses across the board? I don't know. But for some reason, I've gone with the Usos. So,
okay,
stick me down for the Usos. The only thing that does concern me is what sort of input that LA Knight has on the match, because he will be involved at some point in some way. I just don't know how.
For me, if they hadn't have done the exact finish at Clash in Paris, the ideal thing would have been the Usos win and then the Vision beat the shit out of them, but they can't do that like back to back, so it'll be a bit sucky for me. So that's why I went the way I did. Okay, cool. So first set of predictions locked and indeed loaded. So we'll move on to match number 2 on my list, which is Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer fighting each other for the vacant Women's World Championship. Straight up 1v1 match for this one. But yeah, after holding the title for a little more than a month, Naomi had to vacate the title when she announced her pregnancy. I say she announced it. Jimmy Uso announced he was pregnant, then they were pregnant, then she was pregnant, all in the space of 10 seconds on Stephanie's podcast. But that's by the by. A couple of weeks later, Adam Pearce announced that the title would be decided between the former champion, Io Sky, and the number 1 contender before Naomi's announcement, Stephanie Vaquer. Obviously, Stephanie won the battle, the huge battle royal to earn a championship match at a Clash in Paris. Then it never happened because of the pregnancy announcement. So, Io has had plenty of backstage segments featuring her relationship with Rhea, Asuka, and Kairi of late. And the sort of questions hanging over as well, will any of that play into this match and ultimately decide where the gold goes? Are we going to have a new champion? Oh, sorry, we are going to have a new champion this weekend. But who's it going to be? I went first last time, so we'll go around. We'll go Andy for this one.
So I do think that all the other stuff that Io's got going on is going to play a part in the fact that she is not going to win this title. I think there are other priorities, other things going on. She's also already had it in recent times. It seems silly to just stick it straight back there. Give it to Stephanie. It's essentially an emergency situation, so I feel that it's like, stick it there, see how that goes, and say, test the waters. We've got a thing going on over here, and that can continue going on. Let's see how this goes, and then they can make a decision further down the line. But for the sake of this, that's the way I see this one going.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, Stephanie Vaquer for me as well. It was one of those ones where, again, I think you can make the argument for both sides. But like Andy said, she's got this stuff running with the rest of, I don't know. I was going to call them damage control there, but
the Kabuki Warriors.
Damage control. I was going to say that's probably what they are just classed as now, isn't it? The Kabuki Warriors. So it's another one where I think Asuka will get involved at some point. But will it be that she's there to sort of ensure that Io wins, but she ensures that Io loses? So Stephanie for me.
Okay. I will pop that in the book. I have also gone for Stephanie. I think too that there will also be some interference. I think it's more likely though, because Asuka and Rhea have been arguing as well. I think it's more likely that it's going to end up in a tag team situation with Io and Rhea versus Kairi and Asuka. but because of a distraction between Rhea and Asuka at ringside, Io trying to sort it out, Kairi getting taken out, Io then looking all sad about it, and then I think Stephanie will take the win. So we've gone for a clean sweep, varying levels of distraction, but I can't see that doesn't decide the match ultimately. I think we're all in agreement kind of on that. Right, okay, so third match on the card. Now, Paul mentioned that other parts of the Vision were in action at this event, and this is that match. CM Punk and AJ Lee versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Punk has been out for revenge on Seth for taking his World Heavyweight Championship via the Money in the Bank cash-in at SummerSlam. He had a chance to regain the gold in Paris and looked like he was about to do so until a masked assailant smashed him square in the nuts, affording Seth to retain the belt. When the hood was removed, it was none other than Becky Lynch standing by her husband's side, both grinning from ear to ear with gold held high. Punk went looking for some revenge on Raw, but Seth was nowhere to be seen. Seth's music hit. Somebody definitely did his entrance, but that somebody was Becky Lynch. She came out and proceeded to slap the absolute shit out of Punk, basically, to see if he would snap. But if you've seen it, it started off as multiple slaps and ended up that it looked like she was just stroking his face really quickly. It was really weird, that segment. Anyway, Punk didn't snap. Didn't want to obviously lay his hands on a lady. But he got the backup that he didn't have to hold, and that backup didn't have to hold back. As we discussed earlier, for the first time in over 10 years, AJ Lee returned to WWE to launch an attack on Becky, and a challenge for a mixed tag team match was issued. And here we go. So, will the summer of Seth end with victory by his wife's side, or will Mr. and Mrs. Pepsi Phil take the win? Paul, that would be you to lead off on this one.
Oh, he's still on mute there. Yes, I think it's this. I think we drop this every time someone comes back. Doesn't make any sense to bring someone back and beat them first time off the bat. So I think it's Punk and AJ with the win, and I imagine it's Becky that eats the pin. I'd seen somewhere where someone suggested that it might even be after taking a GTS. And someone was like, oh, yeah, so AJ just going to use Punk finish. He was like, no. I was like, there's absolutely no way that Punk hits his finisher on it. No chance.
No, I agree. Not after they've built the storyline around him not hitting her.
Exactly.
It doesn't really do much for Punk's character, does it? I have also gone for Punk and AJ to win. I also think that Becky will take the pin. I think this is probably where this feud goes, with a focus being on AJ and Becky for the Intercontinental Championship a little more than Punk and Seth in the meantime. So that's the reason, basically. She'll get the pin over the current Intercontinental Champion, and they're off to the races on that one. Andy?
Yeah, absolutely agree with everything that's been said there. The whole, you don't bring someone back to pin a loss on them, it just doesn't make any sense. And what does make the most sense is for Becky to take the loss from that team. So yeah, I agree with everything there. CM Punk and AJ Lee for me, please.
Okie dokie. You are in the book. We have 2 to go. Interestingly, I've decided not to leave the WWE Championship match until last. If you don't know the card, you'll find out why in a matter of minutes. But the next one we are going to discuss is that. So the WWE title match, this time between Cody Rhodes defending as champion against Drew McIntyre. This match is about the title for Drew, but very much about redemption for Cody. Drew put Cody out of action when he claymawed Cody's head straight through the front of the announce table. Drew defeated Randy Orton on the September the 12th edition of SmackDown and was about to deliver the same punishment to the Viper until Cody came back and made the save and laid out a challenge for the title match. Now, in much the same as the Roman Reigns situation, the question will be, will Cody manage to hold the gold and complete the filming of the Street Fighter movie? Because he's in it too.
Kyle.
will Drew wind the clock back to 2020 and carry the company whilst everybody else takes time off? Ooh, ooh. Andy pulled a face then when I said that, so we'll start with Andy.
It's a weird one because obviously, no matter how you slice it, that movie is looming. We're seeing more and more and more and more of it at the moment, and that would then make sense that Drew would sort of take this one. But I have Cody down to win. Weirdly, a lot of it is on the feeling that I'm not entirely sure what it is they're doing with Drew these days. Obviously, putting this on him and sending him off to do his thing would make a lot of sense, but also not at the same time. Like I really don't know what the company. I've never known what the company thinks they're doing with Drew McIntyre. It baffles me, and I think this is part of that. Yes, the Street Fighter movie is a factor, but I think they'll find some way around it for this. So yeah, okay. Prediction.
Cody is in the book for you. Paul?
Cody retention for me. He's only just won it off Cena. We know my favourite thing in the world is the hot potato argument. Whilst it would be awesome for Drew to get it back, it's not the time. If anything, at this point, I don't think that they've got massive plans for anybody else to win the Rumble. So just give him the Rumble win and have him win it as a heel, at WrestleMania next year.
Okay, Cody's in the book for you. As much as I would love to pick Drew McIntyre, I also agree that. Do you know if oddly enough, if this had been a SummerSlam, a Survivor Series, that kind of ilk, this would have been the match for me where they'd have had it as a shock title win to give a bit of a buzz. It would have really have given Drew that massive boost as well as a character. Whilst this is going to be the first premium live event on ESPN in the American market, I don't really think that's a big enough of a deal. So I've gone for Cody to retain. I think they'll find a way around as with the filming schedule. I'm pretty sure as well that a lot of Cody's parts must have been filmed already because he's the one character from the film where I've seen probably more in the sort of, costume and all the rest of it than anybody else. But maybe that's because that's just the part of it I've been exposed to through my own online kind of followings and stuff, maybe. Not sure. But yeah, Cody clean sweep. So, with the exception of Paul picking the Usos, all of the predictions are the same so far. We've got one more match to discuss, and it is a huge match. So just to make sure that you've got those predictions in order, we're just going to have to step away just momentarily just to make sure you've got your shit together. And then come back. You guys don't need to move. You'll find out who we are picking for the main event, what will be the main event of John Cena versus Brock Lesnar right after this tiny, tiny break. And that's it. We're back. We're back for the main event prediction time. So as I said, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar one last time. It is one of the last stops on the Cena retirement tour, and it's a date this weekend with none other than the Beast incarnate, Brock Lesnar. Brock returned at SummerSlam after Cena lost the title to Cody, just to beat him up, and clearly to flaunt that his involvement in the Vince McMahon scandal. Maybe not as much as we thought. Lesnar doubled down on his attack by repeating the feat on the September 5th episode of SmackDown, but this time took out US champion Sami Zayn as well as John Cena. Looking back into the stats, Lesnar is currently 4-2 in singles matches against John Cena, although he did lose the last one, but it was by DQ at Night of Champions back in 2014. So it's 11 years since their last singles match. Yeah. Who thought we'd be having Cena versus Lesnar on their 2025 bingo card? Not me. But yeah, can Cena make that record a little bit more respectable before he hangs up the boots for good? Now, I think it's about my turn again to go first. Can he make that record more respectable? It's a bit 50-50 for me. I didn't necessarily think that he needed to win against Logan Paul, and he did. I don't think he really needs to win against Brock Lesnar. There's 2 points for me here. One, it's his retirement tour. Really, he should go out by passing the torch. So really, he should be losing towards the end for me. But after we just discussed it in such depth about AJ, do they bring somebody back just to have them lose? I'm just gonna say Cena, just because I don't want Lesnar to win. And I have nothing more than that, unfortunately, on this one. I mean, ultimately, do I give a shit either way? Absolutely not. I could not care any less about who wins this. What I do care about is what's the story out of the back end of it. Paul, you look into the sky.
Well, I'm just confused. You're giving all this nonsense. You were giving all these stats about Cena, so and so, and then you use the phrase "passing the torch." The combined age of the two people in this match is like nearly 100, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about him passing the torch to Lesnar. Jesus Christ!
Oh, right, okay.
No, I mean, as in,
I was getting confused about
the matches later on. So, like, I'm talking if he's gonna hang up the boots as promised in December, and definitely not gonna have a match next year at WrestleMania Saudi.
Yeah.
The memes that have been doing the rounds about that we should have talked about earlier, but I love the fact that the predicted card so far is Triple H versus The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels in a triple threat match. That yeah, I mean, we can see. But no, I'm talking about Lesnar.
Is that Shawn Michaels with his new knees?
Yeah, his knees will be the youngest part of the match.
New knees. He's mysteriously grown his hair back in.
Triple H just pedigrees off the weave, isn't he? You know what we said about not going off on a tangent? I think we've reached that point.
Not us. Not this podcast.
But no, I think in terms of passing the torch, I'm talking about who Cena's last match is going to be.
Yeah.
Well, they've already said
that they expect his last match to be at the Saturday night's main event. I believe is supposed to be his last scheduled appearance. And I don't think they've got a PLE scheduled in for December, have they?
No, but the second time they've done that in recent times as well.
So you would think that is the last big show of the
Big show's coming back. Yes. Now we're talking.
A
3-man match. Cena, Big Show, Lesnar. The ring's going to collapse. It's going to be fantastic.
Do you know what? If they could squeeze it in, and if it wasn't absolutely screwed contractually, how they have not managed to get a Cena Edge match into a Cena retirement tour is absolutely disgraceful.
Well, I think if you know this one certain ex-head of the company was still there, you know, I think he'd have been able to pull strings. Seems like he owns both companies,
so yeah, go on, Paul. Give us your winner.
Trying to get it back on track somewhat. Yeah, I know what you're saying with like you said, we discussed that. Do you bring a guy back just to beat him straight away? No, unless it's Andrade, because Bance and that. I honestly just think at this point Lesnar just doesn't care. He's not there to win matches. He's there to basically pick up the. This point is it just like the simple? They just added another zero on the end of the number that they just basically write out on his check.
If that guy can return to the business after everything that's just happened, he will not give a flying about his public He's absolutely untouchable.
No, he's the living embodiment of, like, the opposite to if you're throwing up shit, some sticks, because it clearly done on him. So
No, Teflon. It's just Teflon.
yeah, at this point, I don't think, like, unless they're planning on doing another Cena Lesnar match, which I don't think they will, given the fact that there's there's only really Survivor Series at this point that's left as a big pay-per-view, premium live event. Because let's be honest, Lesnar wrestling on Raw, and he's already said that Cena's already said that he's not doing any more SmackDowns, so that won't be happening. I don't envisage a scenario where we get a second Cena Lesnar match, so I can't envisage a scenario where Cena doesn't win the match.
Do we, on the back of that, do we think that there is, as it's going to be his last time at Survivor Series, are we going to get like a Cena involvement for the first time ever in like War Games or something like that?
Maybe. Do you know what? I've just talked myself into something here. There's one title he's never won.
Intercontinental.
You would have thought at some point he has to at least have a match with the current title holder. To set that up, does he maybe have to get involved in one of Cena's matches? If he does he do it now? Does he cost him the match? Because you would imagine there would be something big enough to set up that angle. He can't just basically sort of like bump into him in the corridor, you would have thought, because that wouldn't really make any sense. Although, I suppose, like, I always do this. I talk myself into stuff, and then I immediately talk myself out of it by realising that I'm talking absolute bollocks. Because I was going to say, you can't really just like put the match together, but then again, definitely can, because it's his last year and he can do whatever the fuck he pleases. So,
you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if his last match was for that, and he basically wins to complete the set and then vacates the title.
Yeah, well, I was under, but like, so if we go back to like when we did our WrestleMania predictions, I didn't have him winning the title because I didn't think it made any sense, and I thought the whole point would be is that we would get to Survivor Series, and it would be his last match. He would win the title, and then he'd come out on Raw the next night, and he'd vacate the title, saying that was my last match. I just wanted to prove that I could win the 17th title, and then go out on my shield, so to speak. Like, obviously, not putting a guy over. Cheers, John. It's nice that we're back in 2008.
What you meant go out on his shovel, is what you meant.
Yeah, basically. So I thought that was the way they would go. Obviously, the plans all changed and stuff like that. But let's put it this way: I'll be amazed if they don't at least have the match to give him the chance to complete the set. So at some point, that I'm already on like angle alert for any sort of Dominic Mysterio involvement in Cena angles and storylines and stuff like that. Let's put it that way. No, even though I've just sort of like mentioned it, I don't see him getting involved with this one because it wouldn't make any sense at all. Although I've done it again. Sorry. There was talk on that at one point they wanted to have Lesnar versus Mysterio at WrestleMania before all the sort of stuff came out about the lawsuit that he was involved in. I'm pretty sure I've got that right. Anyway, I think because that's why he was pulled from the Rumble. And I think the idea was that Mysterio was going to eliminate him from the Rumble. And then it was going to be Mysterio versus Lesnar at WrestleMania, and he was just going to absolutely obliterate him in like 10 seconds or something like that. So, wouldn't be the strangest thing in the world if he does get involved in the match. But I don't think he will. But yeah, Cena to win, because I don't think it makes sense to have Lesnar win. And he's now going to sort of like just unravel everything I've just said there and give us the reason why Lesnar's winning, and sort of, much more on why he'll be sticking around for the next, 5 to 6 years.
Well, it's that time, ladies and gentlemen. It is the main event of the main event. Andy is about to deliver the final prediction for this episode of Getting Over, and it involves none other than probably historically one of Andy's most picked wrestlers, shall we say? Broccoli?
Yeah, I'm a massive John Cena fan. So, get out your tinfoil hats, ladies and gents. It's time for the conspiracy to be unravelled, because I know that the two gentlemen in front of me are part of the conspiracy, because every time I try and bring this subject up, I'm shot down immediately because nobody watches the wrestling. But, you know, we can't talk about it because we haven't seen it, but we don't watch it, but we can't talk. Don't talk about it. Don't mention it. They'll know. They'll know we talked about it. So to answer all of the questions, let's tick a few boxes. Who will John Cena's last opponent be? A returning wrestler, so they can have the win. Someone he can pass the torch to, and someone he can put over immediately as his final opponent. Y2J, ladies and gentlemen. A returning Y2J who has expressed an interest that when his contract ends, he would like to return to the WWE. Y2J. Done. Simple. So, ignoring the fact that something apparently happened at some point in time that meant that Brock Lesnar, we weren't allowed to talk about Brock Lesnar anymore. Brock Lesnar doesn't exist anymore. And then Brock Lesnar's back, and we just don't acknowledge it. The company doesn't acknowledge it. Nobody wants to talk about it. So let's just move on, shall we?
I think we weren't allowed to talk about Brock Lesnar for a period of time because they weren't sure if you were talking about actual Brock Lesnar or the toy that Vince McMahon named Brock Lesnar. Anyway, sorry, move on. I couldn't let that slide, sorry. And again, that's what she said.
Oh. So, putting that to one side, I had this whole thing about the Dwayne was going to come in. He was going to cost Cena the match. He was then going to reveal that the reason that Brock Lesnar has returned to the WWE is because he set him on that path because Cena aligned with the fans, and he needed somebody that was going to be able to come in, shake things up, take Cena out, blah, 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 blah. Has anybody seen what the Dwayne looks like recently? He ain't going to be going anywhere near a wrestling ring or a wrestling crowd in the current shape he's in. Feel free to look into the multitude of reasons why the Dwayne looks the way he does at the moment. So, I feel that this has been done on purpose, because all of the time that I've had to say, in this case, unfortunately, it's this person that's going to win, and unfortunately in this, and unfortunately in that, I'm in an unfortunate position where I have to say, unfortunately, I believe Brock Lesnar is going to win this match. I believe that at this point in time, Cena will probably lose every match he has, barring the last one. I think he'll go out on a whim, however they work that, unless my Y2J prediction comes through.
Yeah, well, and you could link the two together. So Chris Jericho, the record number of Intercontinental Championship reigns, comes back, takes the title from Dominic Mysterio, and then that becomes the last match.
I've got to get some fireworks for behind me.
Post-production.
If they just listen,
writes itself. Is all I'm saying.
If they just listen to this podcast, they'd have, like, you know,
you imagine
they'd have storylines for the next 60 years.
Somebody in the WWE writers' room stumbles across this, and they're like, "Guys, we've struck gold. Quick, jot down everything these crazy guys are saying and get it all on the board." I feel that it's been done on purpose. I have Brock Lesnar to win this because that feels wrong to say in all this time. And like I see Cena taking a lot of defeats until right up to the wire. But yeah, look forward to seeing the frontman of Fozzy back where he belongs.
Lovely stuff. Right, that is in the book. So, with that Lesnar prediction, that gives all of us a different set, just. So, the differences being that Paul has picked the Usos, Andy has picked Lesnar, and everybody else has picked Stephanie, Punk, and AJ, and Cody for the matches in between. So, I'm sure there's a way that that'll work out as a three-way tie, as Andy said earlier in the episode.
100%.
So we'll see how that goes. Right. Has anybody got any other business? Then, in which case, all that leaves me to say is thank you to you, gentlemen, for joining me on this episode. Thank you to everybody who's viewing, everybody who's listening. Extra thank you for those of you who did press subscribe when we talked about it earlier. If you haven't done it yet, still available. Don't cost you anything. Please do so. You'll get all sorts of goodness to your inbox. Be the F1 podcast, the Darkest Timeline podcast, the football podcast, and obviously, This Is Out is back, ladies and gentlemen. The NFL podcast is back in business as the season is getting up and running. So yeah, please do so, and you'll get all that straight to your inbox without any kind of searching. And yeah, you'll just become maybe our favorite listener for the week. Who knows? Right. Thank you very, very much, and we shall see you after Wrestlepalooza. Cheers.
Far out, man.
So, yo, what do you think to that? You excited for this premium live event? It's a pay-per-view. Should be a good one. Should be fun. Good to watch. Good to look forward to. Whilst you're there, if you are new here, click all the buttons. The like, the share, the subscribe, the comment button. And then leave us a comment saying, loved it. Check out the website, thecookiecast.com. There we have social media links and an email button, and that way you can get in touch with us. I am reliably informed if you send us your predictions for this premium live event, Stuart will send you a fantastic prize. And if you beat us, Stu has promised me, not that he knows that, but he will send you a super prize, wrestling-based super prize. What more could you want? Right, that's it. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to this awesome cookie cast.